Anyways, here it is. King Charles, we know, didn't really have much of a choice when it came to choosing his bride, right? He had to marry Princess Diana. Camilla Parker Bowles was married to someone else, and so that was that. And so he was getting bad press also from the media on his climate change agenda and things like that. So he had a bad time growing up in this limelight situation. But it doesn't excuse the way that he treated Princess Diana. He didn't love her, and because he didn't love her, based on her interview, it looked like he didn't think of her as a soulmate but as a competitor, because she got better press than he did. So now let's examine what she said. She said the most daunting aspect was the media attention, because my husband and I, we were told when we got engaged that the media would go quietly, and he didn't. And then we were married, they said it would go quietly, and he didn't. And then he started to focus very much on me. But then during the years, you see yourself as a good product that sits on a shelf and sells well. And people make a lot of money out of you. Very much so. But the pressure on us, both as a couple with the media, was phenomenal and misunderstood by a great many people. We'd be going around Australia, for instance, and all you could hear was, "Oh, she's on the other side." Now, if you're a man, like my husband, a proud man, you mind about that if you hear it every day for 4 weeks and feel low about it, instead of feeling happy and sharing it. With the media attention came a lot of jealousy. A great deal of complicated situations arose because of that. No, no one sat me down with a piece of paper and said, "This is what is expected of you." But there again, I am lucky enough in the fact that I have found my role and I'm very conscious of it, and I love being with the people. People see it as crying wolf or attention seeking, and they think because you're in the media all the time, you've got enough attention. So her getting better press than he did made her a problem for him, where he just would get angry at why she was getting better press. Why are people lining up on the side that you're on to shake your hands and not shaking mine? So that was a problem that he had early on. I don't know that he did that with Camilla, because he's like head over heels with her. But he did have a huge problem, to the point that Princess Diana, who really loved people, by the way, would go out of her way to go and visit these places when there were no cameras around. So she would go and visit kids, sick kids, and hold them. But there weren't cameras around because there weren't scheduled events. She just wanted to be there with these people. But she preferred to do it that way so her picture doesn't show up on the magazine. So, and then of course, we saw what happened after that. There were leaking of stories. I actually just noticed after watching one of the videos right now, the video isn't clear enough for me to add here. But if I find a clearer version, I'll just find a way to bring it into this channel and just like so that people can see it. But basically, um, yeah, she was berated for having better press. She would tell her something husband self-deprecating for his benefit, and that information was spread around to the point where that information was spread around basically to the point where uh, people would think she's crazy, she's lost her mind, she's stupid, and that way she would get less favorable press, basically. And so that's now established that that's the way he handles someone he considers a competitor. Is that you're a competitor, you're getting better press than me, I'm going to basically ruin you. And so information will get leaked from the palace to the world. Um, Fast forward to 2020, or even when they first got married, 2020, 2018 or 2019, when all the bad press started. Yeah, it was the same thing. Megan is difficult. Megan, they tried to find everything on her that they could to make her look bad. They tried to make her sleazy, trying to pay men to say they slept with her who did not sleep with her. They tried to dig in. I think they hacked her phone. That hasn't been reported, but there's some pictures that I'm thinking, how else would these pictures even be out there? I think they hacked her phone. They probably put trackers on her car. They paid, when I say they, the idea before that I got before now was that the media was doing it. What I don't know is if there was a collusion between the media and the royal family to try to get dirt on her and bring her down. That I do not know. But yeah, the idea is still the same. She's getting good press. Now we need to leak information on her. Now with Spare, we now have like the link, the link meaning the time difference. Now, why is that important? A lot of people have said that Meghan Markle was copying Diana. So when she said she had depression, people said, "Oh my God, she's not depressed. She's just pretending that she's depressed. She's copying Diana. Diana said she had depression too, and she was self-harming, and now she wants us to feel bad and so that we will love her like we love Diana." Well, now we have a lot more details now that kind of put all of that into like garbage. Harry experienced the whole. He knows that they have spin doctors because they've used spin doctors on his own stories that have come out. And I guess the way the media would do it is once they have a story, meaning someone has one of his friends takes a picture of him at a party or at club age or at somewhere, then they sell it for a lot of money to, Daily Mail, The Sun, or Express or something like that. And then those people would say, "Hey, we have this picture." And he was still a teenager, by the way. "And we have this picture, we have this story, we're gonna go with it and see if the family has, a comment or what they're going to do with it." And the one with the drugs, when he was using drugs, they didn't make the story go away. King Charles took invited the journalist instead, invited her in and spoke to her for a possible different story to come out. And then the story that came out was still that he did use drugs, which I'm sure Prince Harry at the time wished that that wouldn't end up on the in the news. Being that he's a teenager and all, they didn't make the story go away. They manipulated that story to give King Charles good press. Basically, yeah, good press. So the story then became that the doting father that he is took his son to rehab, and they had a picture from the day from a day when they did go to rehab. The only thing is they went to rehab before before the event, right? They went to rehab before he ever had any drug problem. He didn't go to rehab for rehab. He actually went there for charity work. So instead of highlighting that he went out there for charity work at that mental facility for other people's benefits, not his, they decided to make it look like King Charles was a good father and he had done this amazing thing with his son who was struggling with, maybe the loss of his mother and he's just troubled and, he was a good father. That's what they spun it to be. A lot of people obviously knew that that was not true because they knew he had never stayed at that rehab center as a patient, which is how the stories, have leaked over the years that that story didn't happen the way it was portrayed to be. Now, that's not even the big bombshell. But again, there's a pattern of behavior now. So that's basically that. Now, fast forward before Megan, it happened again. It happened this time with Kate. And this is what the media doesn't report to us. And Kate is a very, she's a professional when it comes to her work face, right? She has that work face. She opens the door, the cameras are flashing, and my goodness, she has that smile, and that smile doesn't go away until the cameras are. Like, I don't know if Sophie likes Kate. I don't know if Kate likes, the Tin Dolls or whatever. We don't know any of these things. We absolutely don't. Because when they show up, they're doing work. That's their work persona. Anyways, what did he do to Kate? Anytime, let's say he has an event and she happens to be somewhere, maybe at her children's school or at the supermarket. If she does anything nice for anyone or and they take a picture of her, she ends up on the front pages. Not him. She gets all these rave reviews. Oh, Princess Catherine, right? And he is, he doesn't get those good reviews. So basically, just from looking at that, you can see now, like I said, we needed missing links to see that Megan didn't just fall in after Diana died. What happened to Diana has happened over the years before Meghan. Now, I feel bad for Prince Charles or King Charles. I've always had a soft spot for him. The fact that, his mom was distant, again, he wrote his own biography, was distant, wasn't, there for him and things like that. And he's had to take on all these responsibilities and had to just have a brave face when the media tore him apart with his parents, not even giving me a hug like, oh, sorry, boy, sorry, darling boy, nothing like that. Just get on with it. And I think a lot of it has just, shaped who he is. And so, yeah, so it's happened to Diana, it happened to Prince Harry, it happened to Kate. I have no doubt in my mind that other people in the family have also been told, uh, you know, when King Charles is doing this, don't do anything because he needs the ratings or something like that. Well, the thing is that has its own effect too because when what's her name, Megan was pregnant, she also kind of experienced no, not kind of experienced. She had severe depression, you know. And while she had it and HR was telling her that there was no solution, she couldn't go anywhere, she wasn't even allowed to be outside. She wasn't allowed to be outside, like walk her dog or anything, where you can get some sunlight and maybe that would like boost your mood. She wasn't allowed even that. Why wasn't she allowed to go out? Because if she goes out and walks her dog and happens to have a conversation with someone, she will end up on the front pages again. So again, that's another thing. Now, the manipulation of stories, remember that happened with Harry when he was a kid, and they didn't make the story go away, but they manipulated it to get an advantage. I believe that's exactly what happened with the Kate, Megan making Kate cry situation. They could have made that story, we know they bring stories up to them for comments. They could have made that story go away. They didn't. They instead took that story and manipulated it to get an advantage. Now, there are people who would say that that was a mistake, but I feel like there are a lot of coincidences when it comes to mistakes. When it comes to Megan, he's like, oh, this happened. Can we correct it? No, let's just leave it alone. And then tomorrow there's another story. Should we correct it? No, let's just leave it. That's just idle gossip. If Kate making Megan cry is bad, then Megan, is bad, like it looks bad, then it looks just as bad when you say that Megan did that. I compare this, what's going on right now a lot with Deb V. Heard, as much as many people don't agree with me, because that's exactly what happened between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Amber Heard was the one abusing Johnny Depp and then turned around and said, oops, I'm the victim. And that's exactly what's happening here. They could have made that story go away. They could have just told the truth. They could have spun it in 20 bazillion ways like they've done in the past. They have spin doctors. They have press, offices with, communication managers. There are a lot of things that they can do. And they do communicate with journalists and reporters and they trade in stories. With King Charles, this is his MO. After he started to, his popularity ratings went down. Even before that, he was doing that with Princess Diana and telling her, why are you getting better ratings from me? You already got all the attention. See, that's another thing I wanted to mention. When we're so focused on Meghan Markle's actions, then we're not focused on what the royal institution is doing or what the media is doing. There's a pattern here. They did the same thing to Diana. All you want is attention, right? You got the ratings that you want. You love the attention. And then they're doing the same thing to Megan. Oh, she craves the attention. All she wants is attention. Me again. So again, that is to me, that's bullying, especially if all you're doing is doing your job. Is that, for example, what I would expect, and I don't know if this is what's happening. Let's say in the Biden administration, I'm just going to compare like institutions, right? Is that if let's say President Biden goes somewhere and Vice President Kamala Harris goes to a different country and they're having speaking engagements, If Vice President Kamala Harris has a better, her meeting goes better, like things worked out even better, that should be a good thing, right? You should be able to come home, come back home from wherever country you go and go, oh my God, you made us proud, right? You took, for the team, you brought us good publicity. So, and I feel like when they had Meghan Markle, instead of playing, this stupid jealousy games with her, they should have just embraced it, right? Give her her own niche. Give this person their own niche. It makes the royal institution look even better when more people go out there and they're looking good. It looks good for the institution. Now that he's king, I hope he really takes that into consideration. You can't be everywhere at the same time. You rule, have Kate and have everybody go to their engagements and go look good for you. And that looks good on the institution. And I hope that they start thinking in that way. You can't, things sometimes have to change, as obviously the younger people are going to identify with the younger royals. They're not going to identify with King Charles clearly. And so I hope that things change. Anyways, thank you for watching.